Welcome to the SOB radio show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at Spunky Old Broad 1 or reach out to me on our website at spunkyoldbroad.com. And now, back to the show.
Hi, everybody. It's Gail Carson, and we're here for the SOB show, Spunky Old Broad. And I hope that you will subscribe to my Spunky Old Broad YouTube channel so you can see more of me and what we do there. But my guest today is a vibrant Pattie Grimm. Pattie is a passionate woman leader who dedicated her life to empowering women and girls to be the best they can be in any endeavor they choose. She's an author, a speaker, a trainer, a coach, a podcast guest, and a women's advocate. She has walked a mile in your shoes, gone from rock star to rock bottom, and came back stronger than ever. She has over 25 years experience as a senior leader for global companies like Microsoft and Johnson & Johnson. She runs her own training and consulting company focused on building great leaders, building rock star teams, and fast-tracking business results. She lives in California in one of my favorite places because my son is there, Rancho Mirage. And she's there with her husband and, of course, two pugs, Roxy and Mango. Her book, Quiet Women Never Change History, Be Strong, Stand Up, and Stand Out. Let's Go Kick Some Glass is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Welcome, Pattie.
Thank you, Gail. It's such a pleasure to be here with you and on such a great show. I love the name, Spunky Old Broads.
Well, thank you. You must have had some thoughts when they confirmed our new Supreme Court justice because you're a big, strong, stand up and stand out. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad it's a woman. I'm glad that they put another woman on the Supreme Court. It's hard to replace, Ruth, and anybody to walk in her shoes would be incredible. So, we'll see. She says she's open to policies and things, and so we'll see what happens going forward. I think some of us have our concerns just because some of our really very conservative beliefs about will we lose the right to some of our rights that we already have. And we can talk about that because I think people would be surprised when they ask me, do we still need to kick the glass ceiling? And the answer is not only yes, but hell yes, if you excuse me, if I can say that on your radio
show.
Yeah,
for sure. And not only that, you better kick it pretty strong. You might even have to wear some soccer shoes. Because it still takes a lot. And then again, though really, Pattie, is it worth it once you get there? Because sometimes you have to give up your soul to get there, and you have to live a really controlled life to, get everything done you want to get done. So, yeah, we'll talk about some of those things. So you had a successful career as a senior woman leader with a big global Fortune 50 company and more than one. And you've also run your consulting and training business for many years. So what motivates you to continue to do what you do at this time in your life?
Well, what motivates me, what gets me up every day is that mission of mine, which is to empower women and girls the best they can be in any endeavor they choose. We have so far to go. You and I remember marching probably in the 70s and 80s, or at least in the 80s and 90s, fighting for our rights for equal pay and equal access to the top jobs and things we wanted, as well as just achieving an overall pay parity. But a lot of people don't know that women's pay has only gone up 1% in the last decade. And women still make between 64 cents and 81 cents, depending on whether you're a woman of color or not, for the same job where men make $1. Literally, there are still 13 states that have not passed the Equal Rights Amendment from the 1970s. And the recent survey that really blew me away came out last week from McKinsey and Lean In that said 1 in 4 women, 25% of the women working today are considering downsizing their career or leaving the workforce entirely due to stress of COVID and what's going on right now. So we are in After 100 years of having the right to vote, we are in a real battle for women's equality to get us access to the right jobs, pay parity, health insurance, all those kinds of things that are out there. So it really motivates me that I want to leave the world a better place.
Well, you said a lot. I have to tell you, I was not marching in the 70s and 80s because, believe it or not, I started my business in 1959. And so I've been in business for over 60 years.
Wow.
And it never occurred to me not to be. And I never wanted to work in corporate America because I could never do what somebody told me to do if I thought it was stupid. So I just said, I don't want that. I want my own business, and did it at a time, but I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to do it. And I didn't know that I could fail. And I didn't know. I mean, I was so young and so naive that I just knew I could do it. And that's kind of how I had lived my life. So what are some of the lessons you learned along the way?
Well, I want to go with something you said earlier, that if you are going to be in a successful large corporation, I was with Microsoft for 15 years. I was in their international division. I literally traveled the world, and probably every place on your bucket list I've probably been to. Sydney, Australia, I've been to India, China, all of Europe, all of South America. I've been all over the world. And I had an amazing 15-year career. I did have a time when I went from rock star to rock bottom, but what I figured out what happened is I did what you said you thought women needed to do to fit in. I was trying to be that round peg in a square hole. I was not being true to myself, my mission, my vision, and my values, and I was compromising all of that. And it almost killed me. I mean, I was sitting in front of a doctor who told me if I didn't take care of myself and take some time off to find myself again, I would be dead in 6 months. And
wow.
that's quite the wake-up call. And so the number one thing I want women to understand is you don't have to compromise who you are and your values and what you believe in to be a strong, confident, empowered woman leader, or SOB, spunky old broad or spunky young broad. You need to find your strengths. You need to play to your strengths and be strong, and use those strengths to help you be better and help your organization be better as well. So you don't have to compromise. I quit one big California bank, and I didn't have a job at the time. I quit one big California bank because I couldn't agree with their values anymore, and I could no longer lie to my people. I was lucky and found another job a few months later with another bank and was able to soar in my career. But you don't have to compromise who you are. And don't try and be like a man, right? In the 80s and 90s, the thing was if you wanted to fit in business, you had to be like a man. You needed to play golf. You needed to be able to talk about sports. You don't have to do those things. You have to just be you and be the best you, because everybody else is taken.
You know, it's so funny. I don't play golf, and I'm really not up on sports. But it's interesting. I've been fortunate that I've spoken in 50 countries and 49 states. So I've seen a lot of the world, and I loved what I saw. You know, I had a marvelous time. But again, it's hard to believe that your job can make you sick. But I have heard this from so many people.
Yeah.
When you're not really living your true life, it has an effect. And you mentioned some pretty scary facts about the current state of women's fight for equity, access, parity. Share some additional facts with us that women need to be aware of, especially women 50 plus.
I think women 50 plus, we need to think about, where do we still fit in the world? I had somebody on a recent presentation I did say, am I too old for a mentor? And the answer is no. You can still find a mentor, and you can do reverse mentoring, which means find a Gen Xer or a millennial that's going to mentor you in some things, and you're going to mentor them as well. So I think the one thing to think about is that women still need to be able to stand up and be strong and stand out for themselves, and to be able to fit into that new, to be the round peg in the round hole and not the square peg in the round hole. I think that's really important for women to understand. And the fact that so many women are considering leaving the workforce or downsizing their career, Means we need a lot more help because if you're a woman, even in your 50s, and you still have kids at home, you're homeschooling your children, you're balancing the house with all of you in the office. I mean, I happen to be in the office today, but half the time I end up doing these podcasts from my dining room table because my husband has the office and it needs to be in a meeting or something. So we're balancing all those crazy things, and we have to learn to take care of ourselves. And I think another thing, women, I want you to think about, there's 5 principles in my book. The first one is be strong. We talked about. The second one is be able to stand up. And in order to stand up, you need something to stand on. And I really want women to do this exercise seriously. I want you to write a personal leadership vision to guide your life and your career and make the right decisions. You may decide this is the right time to take a few months off or downsize your career, but you need to get back into the workplace in order to find your identity again. But have a personal vision statement, something you use to make career and life decisions. Companies have vision statements, right? You need one too, and use that as your guide, your thermometer, and the kind of person you want to be. And I actually have a quick exercise I can explain if you'd like of how you can create your personal leadership vision statement.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I want you to imagine this. So a vision statement is something that's in the future, the kind of person, the kind of leader, the kind of SOB woman you want to be. You still want to be that spunky old broad that's contributing to the workplace. I'm 66, right? And I'm still spunky old broad, trust me. And I've been called a pushy broad many times. But here's the exercise. I want you to imagine in 5 years, you're on your favorite show. Mine used to be the Oprah show. Now it's the Ellen show because Oprah's not on every day like she used to be. So I imagined when I was in that low point in my career and I hit rock bottom, what got me back was finding a vision statement. So I imagined I was sitting on the Oprah show or the Ellen show or whatever your favorite show might be. And I was surrounded by my friends and family and my bosses and my peers and people who worked for me. And I closed my eyes and I imagined the words they were saying about me as that leader. And I started to write all those words down, like passionate, caring, respected, integrity, does the right thing, makes a difference, makes a difference, makes a difference, kept coming back in my head. Over the course of a week or so, or a couple weeks, go fine tune that list and then take that list of words and create your vision statement. My short vision statement is 3 words: to make a difference. 4 words, excuse me. I can't count today. To make a difference. That's my short vision statement. The longer one is make a difference by impacting women and girls and helping them be the best they can be in any endeavor they choose. I use that vision statement to make career and life decisions. What kind of podcasts I want to be on, like your podcast, where I think I could make a difference for some women on your show. The kind of speeches and presentations and keynotes and workshops I do. It's based on where I could make a difference. And that helps keep me centered. And that helped me get back at that low part of my career of saying, am I doing the right thing? And I knew I was when I came back.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying these things, because on every radio show I have said, there is not a new normal. There is just new. Nothing is going back to where it was. So for these women who are leaving their jobs, or have had to leave their jobs, there is more opportunity now for you to create whatever it is that you want. And there are people who are creating businesses that are doing very well in this time because they have found a need that the public wants and uses and will pay for. And so they have created this kind of side hustle, if you want to call it that, but it turned into a really good business. So rather than sitting there or standing there and saying, lament, 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 poor little me, if you figure out what is it that you wish that you had right now that you could provide to someone else. In fact, I had been getting, because I don't cook, I had been getting prepackaged meals from 4 or 5 different companies that my doctor's assistant had recommended, because, I just don't cook. And so I've been getting Instacart, and I still get Instacart for the, the basic daily needs. But I said, finally, why don't I just go to my favorite restaurant, who I adore, and get food? So I'll go. But I don't go anywhere because I'm immune compromised. So I
Right.
always in my car. I only go to the doctor in the hospital. And but I knew that I could pick they would bring it to my car.
Right.
So I ordered 4 or 5 dishes. And because he likes me so much, he gave me an extra pizza. He gave me an extra chicken piccata. And I have been having a ball this week. And I'm not dissatisfied. I'm not hungry. I have more food. I could probably invite the whole floor of my building and still have food left over. But I am enjoying my eggplant parmesan, my meatball parmesan, my
Oh,
chicken parmesan,
oh my
you
gosh, you're
know.
touching my heart.
So, and so I said to his wife and the guy that brought me the food, I said, "How are you guys doing?" Because he has a very successful restaurant, and they both said to me, "We are doing extremely well because we have such loyal
Yeah,
supporters."
yeah,
And
yeah.
so it goes back to, and they don't have any indoor dining now at all. Everything is takeout or delivery.
Same here.
And, I just believe if you put your head in the game, you're going to come up with something. So, that's just my my contribution to the cause.
Well, I
But
always believe that there's when one door opens, another door, two or three other doors open for you, and that if you do what you love and you find the passion for that, you're going to be successful. There are so, like you said, there are so many new businesses being started by women in their 50s plus that have found that niche or found a problem that needs to be solved, and they figured out a way to do it and maybe make a little bit of money on the side, or make a good living out of it. So encourage people to go do that, to go find that passion and go figure out a problem that they can solve. I agree, there is no new normal. It'll just be the next thing.
exactly, and people have got to be prepared for it. But as part of your book research, you interviewed a lot of people on what makes a strong, confident woman leader at any age and at any stage of her career. Did you discover anything unique that you didn't know, or something that really stood out and made them so successful?
What was interesting is when one of the questions I ask is what makes a great woman leader? Is there a difference between a great man and a great woman leader? 87% of the people I interviewed, over 3,200 people, said yes, there is a difference. What was interesting and insightful was the top 10 characteristics were pretty much the same, but the order was different. Men were higher in things like strategic thinking, fast decision makers, doing some things differently. Women were higher in compassion, integrity, honesty, those emotional intelligence skills. Those, you've got your IQ and you've got your EQ, your emotional intelligence, which is called your EQ. Women were higher in those categories. What they're finding, and which was interesting with COVID, every country that's doing the best, like New Zealand and Germany and parts of Asia, that are handling the COVID crisis the best, are being led by women. I love the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who said she was criticized at one point for being too empathetic to people. And she said, if being too empathetic makes me a good leader, then I'm fine with that. I don't care what people think. So use those skills that you have. One of the women I interviewed was Colonel Deb Lewis, who was in the first class of women in West Point that graduated 40 years ago. They just celebrated their 40th anniversary. She went on to have a 30-plus year career in the military, commanding troops all over the world, including in Iraq, Iran, and all those terrible places. What she said to me is women leaders see around the corners.
Oh,
And
I
here,
love that. I love
now, so here's what she said. That man who's a strategic thinker and fast decision maker has a meeting with his team, even a Zoom meeting today. And he thinks it's a great meeting. It's done. It's efficient. It's an hour meeting. It's done in 45 minutes. It's efficient. They made decisions. They moved on. What he didn't realize is half the team was completely disengaged and completely disagreed with him. The woman will be in that meeting and she will pause and take a pulse. Are you all with me? Or she'll notice on the Zoom meeting, especially if people are on video, Gail, it looks like you have a question or a bit of concern. Can you share what you're thinking? So she will take the time to get the team engaged, which makes it a better decision because now people are bought in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm wondering if she was sexually harassed and how she handled that.
Oh, yeah. I've got several friends that were women in the military that were definitely sexually harassed. There was no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Wow. Well, it's interesting because I always give the example when I'm doing a mentor kind of thing that, if you're applying for a job and there are 5 things that they tell you you need, and you are a woman and you have 3 of those, you won't apply.
Exactly.
You can have all 5. But if a man looks at it and has only one of those things or even none of those things, he's going to apply and say, well, I got as good a chance as anybody else. Let's see what happens.
That is
And
actually proof. That's
a different way of thinking.
It's all proven by research. And I think I know we only have 5 minutes left. I think what keeps women from doing those things is perfectionism and that imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I want women to be bold, brave, and brilliant and give up on trying to be perfect. We look at Cinderella used to be something. It was a Cinderella complex, they called it. But Cinderella was a Disney character invented by a man. We think about Superwomen or Helen Redding, who just passed away. I am woman and I can fry up the bacon and clean the house and run the business kind of thing. Those things aren't real. Superwoman was a cartoon character invented by a man. So I want women to give up on perfectionism and just strive for excellence. Do the things you love to do, strive for excellence, be strong, stand up, stand out, and be brave, bold, and brilliant at any age. You can do this. You deserve this.
It's so funny because, I am the spunky old broad, but I say for everybody else, SOB stands for spunky, open, and brave. So we've got some of the same words in there that are so important. But, it's really interesting that women today still don't get it, because Pattie, I mean, we've been around a long time. I guess it isn't long when you think of the history of how long men have been around doing their thing. But still, for my entire lifetime, I just never really, I guess maybe because I didn't acknowledge the difference. And when I went into business, I really dealt with a lot of men. And I suppose they sexually harassed me, but I didn't know it. And I just looked at them and laughed, and just went on with everything, because I guess I was so naive, I didn't know any better. But it really does, it does make a difference. It makes a difference on how you are and what you're doing and all of those kinds of things. And, what I am so happy that you're doing is that you're taking this over 50 population who, my gosh, there's so much knowledge and so much, even if they've never worked. I mean, my mom never worked, and she was the smartest woman I knew, I mean, just the way she raised us and what she expected us to do. It was funny because I was part of a mastermind group that finished up a few weeks ago. And everybody was asked, what do you put in your blue box? And the blue box was the Tiffany box, because whatever you put in that Tiffany box, people value. And I couldn't figure out what was I going to do in my Tiffany box. And everybody on the call who was part of the mastermind decided mine was how to live. It wasn't a tangible product or service. It was how to live.
How to live your best
life. And part of that was the fact that they also determined that I never took no for an answer.
Right.
That I just kept fighting with everything that I had, to become, whatever I was going to become. So, we're going to take our break, folks, pretty soon, and we'll be back with Pattie. But I hope that you're listening to all of this, because there are those of you out there who are listening, who are thinking, what am I going to do with my life? And what am I going to do that now that COVID's here and shut everything down? What am I going to do? Am I too old? What do I have to learn? And you may have to learn a new skill. That's the whole point. You may have to learn a new skill. You might have to go back to school. You might have to, just learn something different. But the one thing they can't take away from you is your spirit. And that's the most important thing of all. So hold on, hang in there. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Pattie Grimm.
Hi, this is Dr. Gail, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.